In this episode,
we've got cheesy chips, we got chunky chips, we got sweet potato chips, we got curly fries, we got French fries, we got all your chips.
if you ain't got no chips, you're in trouble.
The Fantasy Football Show.
Hello listeners, welcome back to episode 46 of Planet's FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name is Suj.
And I am James.
And this is the most anticipated podcast possibly that we've ever recorded.
Better make it a good one.
We had better. The FA Cup weekend is over. We've been hyping this up for a while, but we now officially know how many games are going to be taking place in game week 31. We know who's going to double in 32, pretty much. And people are starting to formulate their chip strategies. The Twitterverse has gone mental. And at the risk of repeating everything that you've already heard before, everyone is losing their shit about these chips. What is going on, James?
Same happens every year, mate. People panic. People have to get in people's face and tell people your strategy's wrong and whatever. But yeah, this is the time. We've screamed for ages, like getting the mindset of a plan. Now is the time, I strongly believe, have a plan. Even if your plan is, I need to know the double game week fixtures first, and therefore I'm not deciding until game week 28. Fine, that's your plan. But have a plan.
Yeah, I agree with you. So it literally, this podcast, we're going to dedicate as much time as we can to chip strategies. So we've got curly, we got chunky, we got cheesy chips, we got sweet potato chips, we got them all. We're going to be looking at all of the strategies that you can have with your chips. We're going to stay away from gravy, we're going to stay away from ketchup. We're keeping it just chip focused.
I'm in, mate.
You're in.
I'm in.
Anything with chips, James, is there. I can't say that I'm too dissimilar. But we've got a few other Twitter questions that we want to answer as well, and we do have a game week in game week 27 to look forward to as well. So we'll have a little look at game week 27. Everyone on Twitter, thank you so much for your questions. There's only a stack load of. If you're watching on YouTube, we all know there's a ton of questions, and I have to. It's so complicated. I've had to get my laptop out, mate, to have it even look and keep on top of all the chip strategies. So in essence, we've distilled it down to the 5 chip strategies as kind of highlighted by Ben Crellin, because that will cover, 95% of FPL players?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Ben highlighted 7 days ago 5 possible chip strategies, and we're going to take a look at them.
As it stands, with the 4 chips that are left, you have your wild card, free hit, triple captain, and bench boost. We figured out there's kind of 16 potential combinations of what people have left on their chips. You have all 4. I don't have my triple captain anymore. Thank you, Leroy Sané, wherever you are.
Fire!
So we've got, I mean, the permutations and combinations are, well, there's 16 of them, but like we were talking off air, mate, fundamentally, your triple captain chip and your bench boost chip are luxury chips where you're trying to go out and get extra points on top of what you would anyway. Your wild card and your free hit are chips that you need to use, as you'd say, defensively or to get you out of trouble.
Can use them offensively, but one way or another, particularly the free hit is going to be used to cover up an issue, right? So if you run through the blanks and you're going to free hit in 32, it's to cover the fact you've got no double game week players. If you're going to free hit in 31, it's because you're building to 32, and that week is a problem.
So the strategies that we'll look at, we will focus primarily around the 2 different ways to use those two chips, because then bench boost and triple captain can fall into another double game week or single game week, and we'll have a little chat about what to do if you've got nothing or you've only got a couple of chips as well.
We are going to cover the Holy Mary of what if you've got no wild card, no free hit.
I think it'd be good for the listeners to start with both what your plan is and what my plan is, and kind of get an idea of why we're thinking the way that we are at the moment. How solid are you with what you're going to do?
99.9%.
So pretty much 100%. Let's call it 100%.
100%.
And your current chip strategy is?
Mine will be free
chunky.
Hit. Yeah.
Your current chip strategy. Let's call it what it is.
We're going to call
chunky chips.
James's chip strategy the chunky chip strategy.
Yeah.
Will be free hit 32, wild card 34, bench boost 35, triple captain to be confirmed.
And you'll be building your team to dead end in 33, basically. 31.
Yes. 33. No. You're right to say. I see a lot of people saying that, oh, dead end is 31. Well, no, if you're taking the chunky chip strategy like me, then no, you're dead end 33.
And why are you taking that strategy?
It's the best one for me. What's important to say is obviously what's right for us, and Suja's got a different strategy. What's right for us is not what's necessarily right for you, right? So the way it's fallen for me is I've currently got 6 players available for game week 31. So that puts me in a really strong position. The players that I want for game week 31, I have. That's a big influence. So I've already got, obviously, the free Liverpool. Got Fabianski as a goalkeeper I can carry right through now. Chelsea going out in the FA Cup last night has helped that a little bit, but I would have gone this strategy anyway and been happy to have maybe 10 players for 31, possibly even 9. I'm not even set with what I've got that I have to have 11 players for 31. I think almost definitely will do. For me, the biggest factor in my decision, and I've thought this all season long, is that the free hit needs to be used in 32 or 33, is my opinion. And I think those who are taking other strategies are underestimating how bad game week 33 could be if you are building your side to 32. So obviously one way round that could be to free hit in 33, but then that doesn't solve the 31 problem, right?
No, exactly.
And for me, all right, there's cons to my strategy. So for example, I'm almost certainly not going to use triple captain in a double game week. But for me, it's the least valuable chip. Cons are using the wild card late in game week 34. You think, oh, I'd want them gains earlier. But I'm in a position where I'm quite happy with my squad. The one that keeps getting thrown at people like myself in terms of building to 31 and 33 is that you're going to be weakening your squad. I've planned my transfers up to 31. I haven't bothered with 33 yet because there are too many unknowns. But every week I look at my transfers, the squad gets stronger. It's so critical to consider timing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to run through? I'm happy to share all my transfers now.
Yeah, go on then. I was just thinking, are we going to get?
It won't take long, but I just want to define.
I do think so because my strategy is quite different, and the thing that people are missing potentially in figuring out their chip strategy is that we all have a very different start point. So your start point is 6 players available in game week 31.
Yep.
My start point is 4 players that were available in game week 31.
Yep.
A week ago when we recorded, I said I was going to get Alonso out and Richarlison out and replace them with Trent and Felipe Anderson. That's great. I'm bringing in 2 players who are available in 31 for 2 players that are available in 31. So it doesn't give me more availability if I use my 2 free transfers that I've got this week. So I've got a baseline of 4 players, which I think is quite low. And you're starting with 6. If I had 6, I'd probably think a little differently. So I think people need to bear in mind, where are you now? Because that affects your decision making.
Yeah.
But go on. So talk
it's
to me about
fallen
your
nice for me, and what really helps, Aubameyang's sickness last week has done me a massive favour because I would have got him in for Firmino.
Sure.
Now, what it's left me in as a position is I've got excess cash as well. So at the moment, I've got 3.4 million in the bank.
Rolling in it.
And
cash money.
And 2 free transfers.
Yeah.
Which, this is a nice position to be in. We had advised last week that if there were no seriouses going into game week 26, like, do roll.
Yeah.
Unless it's something you've got to fix it. You'll want it coming out the other end because then you've got an extra transfer for your plans, right?
Exactly.
So if you look at me for this weekend, I'm going to make 2 free transfers this weekend as it would stand now.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of this weekend, I'm still only going to have 6 blank game week 31 players.
Right.
So I'm still ditching Richarlison.
Okay.
Because for me, Everton's a trap. The Cardiff away fixture in game week 28 is really tempting, but the rest of the fixtures are a nightmare. even though they look like they could be available for potentially a run of games that you can carry through and it will cover people. They're the sort of one Everton you can look at and they'll cover you through fixtures if you are lost of your free hits, wildcards. Their fixtures are horrendous and they've got bad fixtures, bad form. Why do I want to look at them? So Richarlison's getting bin this week. I'm going for the transfer that I suggested for weeks I was going to do, which is James Maddison. And what I'm going to do is something that I've not done before is I'm going to bin my budget player. I'm actually going to run through to 31 with no attacking budget player. I'm going to carry 8 attacking players. What I mean by that is I'm not having a 4.5 fodder who's definitely my sub, for example. And I'm going to go success to your boy, mate.
My boy, mate?
Your boy, mate. Arnie.
I don't even understand what that means.
Arnie.
Mate.
I'm going to Arnie.
You're moving to Marko Arnautovic?
I'm going to Arnie. And then depending on...
Didn't see him today.
No, do you want to cover that quick or do you want to come back to it?
We'll come back to that today.
My plan from then is to get through either game week 28 or game week 29 to sell Trippier for Ben Chilwell.
Yeah.
I say either because it's very dependent on Trippier and if he plays this weekend or not. So if Trippier's going to play at Burnley, I know he'll probably play against Arsenal, whereas the other way, he's only going to play at Chelsea away, which would even probably more likely force up selling him earlier.
Okay.
And then game week 30, the one I've highlighted is the great switch from Wolves to Bournemouth. So I'm going to bin Johnny and Hotter for probably Steve Cook because he's the cheapest. He's played every minute this season. And hopefully David Brooks if he's fit, if not Ryan Fraser. And then on 31, I've got one free transfer left and I'll power into Chelsea. I either go Pogba to Hazard or Rashford to Higuain, possibly both. So tell me, what premium players am I losing? Am I selling?
You're not, but then you're coming at it from a start point of where you've got Liverpool assets and 3 Liverpool assets, which a lot of people are heavy and big on City at the moment over Liverpool. So you are in a blessed position that you've ended up with 3 Liverpool players who we've known Liverpool riding through for ages, right? I'm going 3 Liverpool defensive, 2 defensive and a midfielder rather than attacking, possibly maybe. If you looked at it on paper, your statement was that every transfer is making your squad stronger. I wouldn't fully agree with that, mate, because I don't think moving from Jota to Brooks necessarily makes it stronger. It's a bit of a sideways move.
No, but it is on the fixtures.
Based on the fixtures, yes. But
so I'm making the move. So that perfect example, Wolves-Bournemouth, game week 30, Wolves go to Chelsea.
Yeah.
And then Bournemouth's fixtures turn. They play away to Huddersfield. Game week 31, Wolves don't play and Bournemouth play at home.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't think any of them weaken your side. Put it that way. I definitely think they're all either sideways or improvements. And definitely, if you factor in the fixtures, the only thing is fixtures are so unreliable. And you know for a fact that one of those players is going to get a bloody red flag.
It's going to go wrong. Through. Of course it will.
But that gets you to how many in 31?
That would get me 11. And then what I would leave is on the bench is obviously the budget Speroni, Wan-Bissaka, Son, and one of Pogba, Rashford.
Okay.
It's fine.
Correct.
I'd have a front 3 or a front 2 of possibly, it would be Firmino and Arnautovic or possibly Higuain. And then I'll have Salah, Brooks, Hazard, Maddison and a back 4.
Decent enough squad.
Fabianski in goal. It's fine. So I'll have 3 Liverpool, potentially 3 Liverpool, 2 Chelsea, I've got David Luiz still, 2 Bournemouth, 2 Leicester, 2 West Ham.
Right.
And I won't have any players playing against each other either on that strategy.
Okay, there you go. I'm thinking at the moment, I've got 4 players available. Richarlison, Alonso, Robertson and Mo Salah. So Robertson and Mo Salah are sticking around. I mean, they're here for a while. Unless I adopt the strategy of wildcarding early, in which case Salah may go for Mane. But I'll think about that at the time. Now, what I don't like, and I haven't spent enough time, so where you're 99.9% fixed on your strategy, I'm maybe 50-60% at best at the moment, because I need to plan out my potential moves. But getting from 5 to 11 playing in 31 with only 6 transfers, because I've got 2 rolled over, is a pain that I don't really want to have to go through. So I'm not sure if I want to do that. And my premiums, I've got quite a lot of premiums that are not playing in Rashford, Pogba, Son, Sane. Pain in the arse, right? So, Luke Shaw, if you consider him a premium, he's one of the top 6. So I've got a lot of players that maybe I don't want to move on necessarily, and a lot of these guys will all have a double in 32. So I'm leaning more towards a free hit in 31 at the moment, and maybe even wildcarding before 31, free hit 31, bench boost in 32. And I don't have triple captain anyway. So then I'm kind of done and dusted with my chips. And that one, if you wildcard before 31, you free hit in 31, and triple captain in 32 is Curly.
That's the Curly
fries strategy, because it's a bit wonky. But I think quite a lot of people are going to be going on that.
Yeah, I think that's one that people are mentioning a lot more. And obviously what that enables you is obviously a triple captain in double game week 35.
If you have your triple captain chip.
I think there are plenty of positives about it in terms of the timing and the coverage. I think 33 will still be a problem. That would be the major con. What you got to remember is when you're wildcarding in game week 30, it's 3 weeks to game week 32. You've got an international break as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's 6 weeks in total to game week 35. So presumably, you want to wildcard a team to 32 that's also going to carry you for 35, right?
Yep.
Yeah. You don't know. You ain't
how
gonna
many
know
doubles
35.
will there be in 35? We have no idea.
So it's likely to be 3 or 4, I would suggest. Now, one benefit is we would assume, unless they decide to throw a curveball, that Wolves Man United will be 1.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Wolves and Man United will now double in both. So you can wildcard and you can go 3 Wolves, 3 Man United, that's 6. The rest you're guessing a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you're possibly, are you going to go Spurs and then you don't know if you've got the double in 35 or not? Do you want to go for a balance because you want to cover some of 33 as well? Because as it stands now, there's only 2 teams that are definitely doubling in 32 and playing in 33, and those are Arsenal and Southampton.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chelsea will be added to that. And there will be others, whether Watford or Crystal Palace and their opponents in 33 will definitely be another one, for example. But when you wildcard in 30, you got no idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely none. You called a winner between Watford and Crystal Palace in the FA Cup quarter-final. No idea. City, we can probably guess will go through. Brighton is not a certainty away to Millwall because they will rotate if they stay in trouble, and therefore you don't know if Spurs have got the double or not. I think there's too many questions.
There are, and ultimately you're not going to get a strategy that gives you everything.
No,
you're going to sacrifice
so
in one of the game weeks, and I think that's where you got to try and figure out which is the best evil that you can possibly go with. So the question mark for me right now is, can I get from my 4 playing players in 31, 2 of which are Richarlison and Alonso, who I don't like and I really want to bin, to enough playing players. Now there are other variables that come into play. Like you could be willing to take a couple of hits along the way. It's not the biggest deal in the world if it gets you a decent premium player. So hits also will throw it into kind of a bit of
and the nearer you get to that deadline, the more acceptable it will be to take hits, especially if, for example, if you are moving Wolves to Bournemouth in 31 and you're taking a -4, I don't know, from Jimenez to Wilson.
Yep.
You're getting that back on appearance point straight away, right?
Yeah,
so
true.
That negates it completely straight away, assuming obviously he stays fit, ideally. But that's a completely viable on 31 for that sort of move to take a hit for. No problem at all. I would go for that myself. That's why I said I probably could end up with maybe Higuain and Hazard and go different routes.
What I don't like about our curly fries strategy is the gap between wildcard and bench boost, which is, like you said, 1 game week.
So would you bench boost in 32 or 35?
32.
32.
Yeah. I think bench boost has to stay close to your wild card. but it's not close enough for my liking. And you obviously mentioned that there's the international break as well. Anything can happen at that point.
Yeah,
although you'll get a lot of players that won't go away with.
I think this strategy actually is decent for you. So our friend Tom, who got the assist, he's going to wild card before game week 28 and follow. I don't know if it's the exact same strategy, but I know he's going to wild card next week. And the reason for that is Tom is a very experienced FPL player, and his rank's not what he wants to be at the moment. So he feels like he wants to try something different.
Yeah.
And go against the templates. And from that perspective, your rank's behind as well, right? I don't mean that insultingly, but no, seriously, you want to try and do something different, right?
Yeah,
You've got a target to get in that top 100k.
I'm looking back at previous experience. Last year, I played a free hit in a blank game week, and it worked well for me. So I
keep going on about that blank, mate. We all fucking captain Salah. Go for it.
Yeah. Did you get 112?
I got about 94 or something.
So that's it. So let's talk about curly fries, curly chips, curly fries as strategy number 1, which is wildcarding before game week 31. So any time between now and game week 31, playing your free hit in 31, which is the blank where you've got 5 games to choose from, and then bench boosting in 32, and triple captaining probably in 35 or later when you've got another double game week. So the pros are you get to wildcard early, so you can get the most value out of your wildcard. Leaving it till game week 34 is quite late, and you only get a few weeks with your game week, your wildcarded team. Your bench boost and wildcard, if you wildcard around 30, are not too far apart, but that's one of the disadvantages. You don't really know who's going to be fit, and the game week's not like 7 days away. It's best part of 2.5, 3 weeks away, which is tricky. But then you've got free hit in 31, and there's quite a lot of teams that you don't really want players from playing in 31. Even the premiums like Chelsea.
But I think they're not as bad. See, I'd take a look at from my point of view and go, right, so in terms of the strategy I said, so I'm going to end up with, if I go through with those transfers this week, 3 forwards, Firmino, Arnautovic, and who's my other fucking forward? Rashford, thank you very much. And I've got Son, Pogba, Salah, Jota, and it'll be Maddison. Right, so who are you leaving on the bench? So obviously this weekend, obviously because of the blanks, I would actually have 8 attacking players there. I'd probably, Jota's an injury doubt at Bournemouth, so I'd probably leave him out. 28 midweek, West Ham at City, I'll leave Arnautovic out. 29, Maddison's at Watford, I'll leave him out. If you look at the fixtures of those that are playing, there are 3 obvious teams to target in game week 31. Leicester. We know it's a decent run of fixtures. We've been highlighting it for probably 6 weeks or so, Christmas time, highlighting this swing of fixtures for Leicester in game week 27. Bournemouth have a great turn in game week 30. Their final run of last 8 games is very good for Bournemouth. So that Wolves-Bournemouth move, they're all in similar price brackets. I think that's an obvious in game week 30. And West Ham have a good run. Other than that Man City away game, you've got a good run of fixtures, mate.
We certainly do. And that's, I'm even starting with this week with Fulham. That's why I'm thinking of armband.
And they haven't got shit fixtures. West Ham are at home to Huddersfield in 31. Bournemouth are at home to Newcastle in 31 and Burnley in 33. 2 home games, and we know they can be free scoring.
Yeah.
West Ham's 33 fixtures, not great, admittedly. And Leicester, all right, they're 2 away games, but they're Burnley and Huddersfield. I'm quite happy with that.
Sure. Let's talk about our second strategy. Let's be honest, these are all the way that Ben's kind of laid them out, but we'll develop them.
He sent it in a tweet, in fairness. Yeah. But we're giving him cred because he deserves it.
Creds. Creds to the Krells. Oh, there you go. This one's sweet potato. Sweet potato chips.
You're naming all of these, aren't you?
We are, because, in my opinion, sweet potato chips are not real chips.
Oh, that's interesting.
You've got to be a proper spud to be chips.
I'm going to let you into a little secret, mate. Planet FPL Wifey quite likes her.
I love sweet potato chips, but they're not real chips, let's be honest. This strategy is all around wild carding in up to and leading up to game week 31, but wild carding with a team that's going to ride you through the blanks of 31 and 33, and rolling your free hit chip in 32 instead, and then bench boosting further down the line in 35 when you've got a double game week and triple captain whenever you can. So the advantages, again, are that you get to use your wildcard early, but you are filling your team with players that you might not want in 27, 28, 29 potentially. The free hit in 32 is obviously an offensive way to use, attacking way to use your free hit. So you can pack it in with all the top players that have got double game weeks that you can squeeze in. And you'd want a bench boost in another double game week, which is 35. The disadvantage to that is obviously manoeuvring a squad of 15 is much harder than a starting 11. So having 15 players with double game weeks using just your free transfers is going to be pretty tricky. So I don't really like that strategy, because I don't like any strategy where your wild card and your bench boost are so far apart. And also I don't like wild carding to fill a team of what I'd call not really fodder, but playing for blanks. Wild carding for blanks doesn't sit right. Wild carding bench boost far away doesn't sit right. That's why it's sweet potato.
Yeah, I think if you're wild carding now, you're going for 32, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think. But the benefit of obviously going that way and then using the free hit 32 does mean a little bit like my strategy, it covers you.
Yeah.
It covers you, but then manoeuvring to 35 will be difficult, but it might not be. Like I said, if you go 6 Wolves and Man United between them, and you take a chance and throw in Spurs, for example, it could be that you'll end up with 11 doublers, quite possibly. I'm like you, though. I think the early wild card would be to target 32 rather than 31, I think. To
target 32, exactly, which is the first
I can't think that there's many that will go down that route. I think the only people would go down that route is if somebody's thinking, oh shit, I've got no Liverpool, no Chelsea, and that's what I want.
Yeah.
I think with Liverpool, fine. You wouldn't, certainly this weekend, you wouldn't feel the fuss about it. Chelsea walk into Spurs in game week 28. So I don't see why you would do that strategy. It doesn't really make sense, but it will ultimately cover you through the problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you don't have a bench boost and triple captain to worry about further down the line, and you've only got a wild card and a free hit, maybe that's the way that you can get around that. And if you're starting with a low number of 31, game week 31, 33 players now, like if you've only got 2 or 3, you're not going to be able to get to a full squad with free transfers. You're going to have to take hits. You might then think, you know what, let me wildcard to get a squad that fits 31 and 33, and I've got my free hit for 32. And the other chips are used anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, agreed. We don't like that strategy particularly.
No, and so it's not a real chip.
Next.
We've got 2 others, and these both focus around free hitting in 31, but not using a wildcard before 31. Cheesy chips. Do you like cheesy chips?
They're not great for my system.
Dairy. It's the melted dairy. So cheesy chips. Cheesy chips is all about free hitting in 31. Bench boosting in 32, which is when you've got the double game weeks, which would mean that everything you do in terms of your transfers is leading up to 32.
Correct.
Right now. And then wildcard before the double game week in 35. So you're building a strategy towards 32 right now, where you'll bench boost. And just to cover the blank of 31, you can free hit. Big disadvantage, it doesn't give you any solution to the blank in 33, which you feel is going to be quite horrendous. Could be quite horrendous.
It might not be, but I think if you take that line, you've got to essentially target Arsenal, which if they continue to progress in Europa, if they can master Bate,
yeah,
then that looks tricky as well. So their game week 32 double, if it works out as we think, they're probably going to play Newcastle Monday and then Wolves on Thursday as well. It's likely to be rotation as well. Wolves, by the way, look like they'll probably have the biggest gap in the double. They could well play Saturday and Thursday in 32, which is worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Just because of the way Arsenal-Newcastle's already been scheduled for the Monday night, unless it gets changed.
Yeah.
I think it's a good time to mention Chelsea and the Brighton problem. So that game's obviously hanging from this forthcoming weekend that hasn't been rearranged. Now, Chelsea now will only have one double. The idea of the triple captain Hazard and or anything like that's gone really. Although I think they'll have the best double in 32. It's worth mentioning. And the reason I think that is because I think their rearranged fixture with Brighton will go into 32. I think all of the postponed games from 31 will go into 32 except that one. And the reason for that being is I think they'll hold back the Brighton-Cardiff game. Purely because of other teams' involvement in Europe. Put it this way. If Brighton and Cardiff gets put on the Thursday night of the Europa League quarterfinals, UEFA ain't going to give a shit.
Yep.
They ain't going to care.
Agreed with you on that.
So, it wouldn't be a TV game. And obviously, Brighton's other rearranged game, should they make the FA Cup semi-finals, is Tottenham. So it does make more sense for the Chelsea-Brighton game and Tottenham-Brighton game to be in the double game weeks. Because if they hold one of those two back and those sides continue to progress in Europe, it can't go into another game week. Whereas Cardiff and Brighton, it's at the Amex, with respect, can fit in anywhere. And you should be aware of that, by the way. I think that's probably more likely to be later in the season because obviously in the unlikely event that Man City and Brighton went out in the FA Cup quarterfinals, obviously Brighton and Cardiff could just go into 35.
Yeah.
So I think it's more likely to be late. And triple captain was going on Matt Ryan in game week 36. The Chelsea's double 32 would be Cardiff away and Brighton at home.
Which is pretty decent.
It is. It would look the standout one. So Chelsea would be your target, but at the moment you don't know what you're targeting. So that's why I said if that's your plan, that kind of route, for example, we don't know yet factually that that's going to be a double game week 32. So don't dive in yet. I know Ben thinks that the TV fixtures for April and the rearranged games could be on the deadline this Friday, which might throw a few curveballs to people. So be prepared for that would be the advice. Yeah, it just makes sense to hold back that Brighton-Cardiff fixture.
I couldn't agree with you more. It does make a lot of logical sense. How do you feel about cheesy chips? Free hit early, free hit in 31, bench boost in 32, wild card later in 34.
It's just a 33 problem, isn't it?
Yeah, again, it's not my ideal strategy.
What it does, it forces you, and you would definitely go free Chelsea if you're going that route, and you'll probably want to target that probably 29 when they go to Fulham. You'll start hammering into them. It forces you into that, and there's so many unknowns. Like I said, what if they continue to progress in Europe as well? What if them or Arsenal really fall away from the top 4 race? And they keep progressing in Europe, and suddenly the Europa League looks like a more viable route into next season's Champions League. What happens then? And you're making early decisions on that now without the full knowledge. And I think that's really important. 33, your budget ones, you'd have to be looking at Southampton.
Yeah.
And what's their 33 fixture? At home to Liverpool. So what are you doing it for?
Yeah.
So I'm against that. I think the one that fell from when we first pre-season, we did the 4 pods in a week. We looked at this and I highlighted 32, 33. There won't be a way around it. There are going to be more teams that become available in 33, like I said, Palace or Watford, for example. But you don't know.
No.
And you're planning for that 32 double. So where do you go? I can only feel that you look for the balance. And then with that strategy, have bench boost 32. So then it makes the bench boost worthless.
You're right.
You're going to have some singles in there.
Very difficult. We have another strategy, the French fry. Possibly one of the most popular chips out there.
KFC's new chips are shit, by the way.
You don't like them?
No, I think they're crap.
I think they're not too bad.
They ain't got nothing on chicken anyway, I'm telling you that.
They're an improvement on what they had before, but KFC's chips generally have been pretty dead.
For a while.
And so they are an improvement a little bit. BK always used to kill it on the chips.
Really?
Oh. The seasoning on them did it for me, but,
I like McDonald's.
Yeah, stick to the classic, plain and simple.
20 ton of salt.
French fries. If you're French frying, free hitting in 31, wild carding in 32, and then bench boost in 35. Why would someone want to do that? So you're building your team up to get you through to 31.
So repeat that strategy again.
Free hitting in 31.
Yeah.
Wild carding in 32 to cover you for the doubles, and the bench boost later down the line in 35 in the other doubles.
It wouldn't make sense really to go down that route because that's actually. So what are you planning for that? Are you planning for 33?
Exactly. You're kind of thinking, well, you're wildcarding in 32, so you're not really, you're swapping your team out.
No, you'd be better off if you're going down that route. The only thing with obviously wildcarding on 32, you've got the picture of the doubles.
Yeah.
And obviously with that, you obviously wouldn't use a bench boost.
No.
So you could have 4 players on the bench that would definitely be available in 33.
Yeah.
And you could probably pick, say, 3 Chelsea players. So it is manageable a little bit more, but then Chelsea are unlikely to double in 30. Chelsea won't double in 35 if they double in 32, right?
No,
so you're back
exactly.
You're back to square one.
Have difficulty there. So realistically, we're thinking free hitting in 31 with a wild card in 32 and bench boosting later down the line is not a strategy we're recommending, but it is the French fry.
Yeah, I like French fries.
There we go. The last strategy that we have is the good old chunky chip, mate.
Is that mine?
Well, I think you're being harsh on yourself.
Do you know what? I'm going to let you have this because I pick on you every fucking week, mate.
Well, it's got nothing to do with you. Chunky chips are what you get down the fish and chip shop, proper ones, where the skin on, all the whole works. This is the strategy that the majority of FPL players, I think, are leaning towards at the moment, especially if they have all of their chips and especially if they have enough Game Week 31 players right now. Free hitting in 32, wildcarding in 34 for a bench boost in 35. And where I'm 50 to 60% on my original strategy, this is the one I would prefer to use, truth be told. I just need to figure out a way of getting from where I am to enough players in 31 to make it worth my while. And I think I know what's going to happen. I'm going to end up keeping Marcus Alonso throughout.
I think Marcus Alonso's someone I would keep. If I own now and I was going down that strategy, wouldn't sell it. I think my case with Richarlison is, I think Everton is the real trap, I see. For 31. Their blank fixtures are Chelsea at home and Arsenal at home, and they've got shit fixtures either side. You're all right.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah, and I mean, the Everton players are not highly owned. You've got Dean, Richarlison and Sigurdsson.
Pod listeners will know I've been a supporter of what Richarlison has done this season in terms of his points per match, etc. And I still think it's okay value, but I think I'm about to move to a player who's got far better fixtures.
Yeah. Maddison definitely has. I mean, Leicester's Sea of Green is incredible coming up.
The alternative one for those linked together, and the obvious one is Felipe Anderson. My reason for not going down Felipe Anderson is I've made a choice that I'm going to go for Arnautovic.
Yeah. I wouldn't go with both Anderson and Arnautovic.
I'm not keen. I have no trust in your team at the best of times, mate.
Well, you should support him because none of us do. It's the first prerequisite of being a West Ham fan. Don't trust the team to give you joy. We're gonna move on and talk about mashed potatoes in a minute, and that's if you have.
There's more strategy.
That's if you have no chips left or 1 or 2 chips left, right? So you are mashed. But before we do, should we talk about Felipe?
Yeah, go on. Tell a story.
What happened today, mate? I went down. I saw the big telly screen at the last game advertising a signing, autograph signing or whatever with Felipe Anderson, Issa Diop, and Adrian today. So 2 till 4, club shop, all the rest of it. And they did send a message around, first 300 people only, because it's going to get rammed. And it was 2:30 to 4:30 or something like that. I got down there at about 1:45.
You dickhead.
500 people
queuing
outside the shop.
Is that all in half term? That's poor form, mate. Mental. 500.
Yeah, at least we've got a club shop that people can turn up to. How's your building site going?
Go fuck yourself, because my club shop is the biggest in Europe and it's open.
Biggest in Europe, and they'll take more of your money if they can. So we ended up,
not wrong.
So we can still go in the shop. Excuse me.
That's Spurs revenge there, boy.
Yeah.
Do you want me to cover you, mate?
That's the cockerel, is it?
What's that? Your chunky chip getting at you, is it?
So we're allowed to go into the shop, right, and take a wander around and all the rest of it. We just couldn't join this massive queue that was to do the book signing. The guy was like, go in the shop and then wait around the side, and you'll be able to take some pictures and whatever from a distance. You just won't be able to go up and meet the players. And I was all set with my phone. I was going to go up to Felipe. I don't know how good his English is, mate, because I've not really seen him do an interview or anything. But like, Felipe, yo, I'm going to buy you this week for 7.2. Shall I do it? And he probably just looked at me blankly, and I go, Felipe, shall I captain you, mate? And it didn't happen. I didn't get to see him. So they were all seated at the tables, and you've got like kids all around shouting, Felipe, Felipe. I was thinking of getting my phone out and doing one of those, those happy slapping type videos, but just like holding my phone up and shouting, yo, Felipe, should I captain you? Should I captain you?
You should have
really
done
loud
that.
and
You
videoed it.
that.
But I just didn't have the cojones to be
I told
that
you
guy.
you wouldn't have the cojones.
Not from a distance. I'll ask him to his face. But, in a shop with like 50 people, me be the guy that gets my phone out with video shouting, Felipe, shall I captain you?
Just to clarify, nobody was there shouting, Adrian.
Nah.
Oh, it's sad, isn't it?
My kids don't even know who Adrian is. They've started going this season, learn players, and they were like, who is Adrian? And we were driving to the stadium. My 5-year-old was like, Adrian what? I go, what do you mean, Adrian what? He goes, no, what's his name? I said, Adrian. I go, no, but people have 2 names. What's his name? I was like, no, he's only got 1 name. And they go, what is that? Did his mum only want to give him one name? I was like, I don't even know how to start explaining this to you. He's called Adrian and he's goalkeeper. Job done.
He probably has got another name.
Washout. Yeah, it's long.
Yeah.
But we only know him as Adrian. So if you're thinking about captaining Felipe Anderson, I'm no help to you because I didn't get to ask him today whether we should captain him. But we know the golden rule.
Just by one captaincy.
Games on Teddy.
Yes. I think he's viable, actually. Arnautovic is likely to be my vice. Captain.
Vice captain.
Captain will be Sané. I've decided.
I will possibly captain Felipe Anderson or Son. It's at the moment, if I don't buy Felipe Anderson because my transfer strategy changes, then it'll definitely be Son. If I buy Felipe Anderson, I'm 50-50 between the two as it stands. Burnley away is a tough fixture.
It is, yeah.
Especially with their defensive improvement over time. But, Sonny's been delivering week in, week out for the last 16, 17 games.
I think it's... I'll check it. I think
11 goals and 7 assists in his last 16 games.
Is that right? I think it's only one blank since the Chelsea home game,
mental.
I think. Is that right?
Incredible run of returns.
Just Man United at home, I think, is the only blank.
There you go. Let's talk about mashed potatoes.
Go on then.
What do you do if you only have 1 or no chips left?
So we get questions a lot. What do we do if you haven't got your wild card?
Correct.
It's no different really to if you use it now, right?
Yep.
I think that's a better position than having no free hit. I mean, if you've got no free hit, pray, you're fucked. I'm not gonna paint it up to be any different. One way round it, if you haven't got the free hit, one way round it is to wildcard, I think, in the middle of the problem.
Yeah.
So I'd probably say it's aim for 31, wildcard 32, and you're just gonna have to suffer 33. That's one way of looking at it. Or you aim for 32, free hit 33, which might be a better idea because it's probably more likely to be, there will be more fixtures than game week 31, and then you just suffer 31.
Mm-hmm.
You just make sure you've got a captain for 31. There are things you can do to cover it up, so make sure you've got a goalkeeper, for example, because you can have 4 people on the bench, right? So an easy one to cover up is have a goalkeeper that's available in the blanks and a goalkeeper that's available in the doubles. It's fairly obvious, isn't it? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who that is. Get 2 cheapies. It's fine.
Yeah.
So there are ways around it where you can have sort of 4 or 5 in 31, I think. But that's probably what I'd recommend. Wild cards 32, free hit 33. You can't even free hit, can you? You ain't fucking got it. It's so fucked. So fucked.
I'm trying to ask you to come up with a strategy for people with no chips.
It's horrible. No free hit is a massive problem. I think, wild card. Aim for 31, then wild card 32, and then you fuck.
If
33.
I can sum it up in maybe a bit of philosophical advice rather than actually getting very technical, if you don't have any chips left or you only have 1 or 2 chips left, I would be inclined to use them aggressively rather than defensively.
Yes.
So if you've only got one chip left, aim to figure out how you can maximize a double game week and get the most possible returns. So if you've only got a wild card, figure out how you're going to get a full squad of 11 with double game week fixtures in either 32 or 35. If you've got a free hit or bench boost only, they've got to be played in the doubles to get you the best possible result in those. And don't lose too much sleep over the blanks. So for me, they are more priority than the blanks.
I think
double game weeks are more important than blank game weeks.
No free hit. What planned for 31 wild card 32. No wild card. Plan for 31. Free hit 30.
I'm sure that's what you just said.
What is that? What?
Oh, amazing!
So no free hit. No, sorry, no wild card. Free hit 32.
No wild card, free hit, and 32.
Plan for 31 and 33.
Yeah, just kind of.
You can do it the other way as well, but 31, 32, and 33 are a problem, right? So if you've got your free hit and you haven't got your wild card, the 32 free hit at least covers you up. It covers you the 3 game weeks.
Right.
And then you've just got to try and get the 35 as best you can. I think you're going to be going for, like I said, Arsenal and stuff, possibly. But you can't even go for Arsenal in 31.
I don't want anyone from Arsenal. I don't want anyone from Chelsea right now. I mean, both are
I agree.
Garbage.
I agree.
This is what's making it a little
The only one is
tricky.
Aubameyang. Just briefly on Aubameyang. Obviously, Lacazette suspended for the Europa League on Thursday, and it's really put me off because I don't think Aubameyang will start all of the. He'll definitely start at Tottenham.
I think it's 4 in 9 days. Is it? He's got to play.
So they'll play Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, and the 2 fixtures you obviously want him for are the Sunday and the Wednesday, which is Southampton at home, which would have been great captaincy cover, and Bournemouth at home. And I don't think you got some cojones, you captain Aubameyang Sunday if he plays on Thursday, I think.
Yeah.
I think he would probably be more likely to miss the Bournemouth game, but he's probably going to miss one of them, right? I think that's a problem, so I'm going to stay away. Just briefly, there is one game week that I did want to mention briefly because there's one game week quite randomly where I think if you're building in a certain way and you're looking to cover the doubles, there is one game week that's a single which might be okay for a bench boost.
Talk to me. Which game week is that?
It's game week 30.
Okay.
There's some nice fixtures in there. So if I look at the teams that I'm planning for, so Liverpool at home to Burnley, Chelsea at home to Wolves, Leicester at home to Fulham, Bournemouth at Huddersfield, West Ham are away to Cardiff. If you're planning down that route and you've got a problem further on down the line where you don't think you're going to be able to use that bench boost, I will just put out game week 30 as a possibility. United are at Arsenal is the big game of that weekend. And City, if you're on that route, are at home to Watford. Spurs are at Southampton. They look like a really good set of fixtures where very rarely in the Premier League, I think you could look at it and go, I can pick 7 of the winners there. It's how it would look anyway. So oddly, that might be one. I can't not bench boost in a double game week personally.
No, but I mean, 15
there might be some strategies where that possibly works. Game week 30. Because I know some have mentioned it. We obviously going back to Peter Blake's point where we mentioned a couple of weeks ago. In terms of if I can't get to this because of the bench fodder, should I do it in a single game week? I think that's the best week.
Interesting. Should we get in some Twitter questions?
Yeah, this has been heavy. I'm sorry for those without a wild card and without a free hit that we've just completely, absolutely butchered it. I think actually Suj summed it up best is to say be aggressive about it.
Yeah, I think just be offensive with these chips
and cover up. I think cover up 31, 32, 33 as best you can, but honestly there isn't a bright way. The doubles give you the most power, right? So I think that's where I'd want to be covering up is the doubles. Yeah.
Let me give you a couple of other bits of advice if I can that potentially have helped me. And a lot of this comes from you, to be honest, James. But you have you've planned your moves up until 33, right?
Not 33,
but 31.
A little bit.
And you screen grabbed so you took the app, you screen grabbed it, moved your transfers, and then figured out who's available and who's not, and who you'd be happy with your team.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing exactly the same thing.
I've marked who my subs will be.
Yeah.
I know.
And I mean, we talk about FPL probably daily, so we are monitoring what we're doing. But I think that kind of really helps to understand where you are and where you're going, and using the feature of just transferring him in. Don't confirm the transfers, just. That would be pretty dumb.
That would be Jake
Art of the Dive level stuff. If you're listening, I love that.
Just
guy.
one thing I did want to cover up is obviously the players that I'm looking to carry through. So if I'm going to free hit 32, now you might have noticed one of those players was going to be Pogba or Rashford. We'll probably cover off a future question here. So my thinking behind, let's say I go Hazard for Pogba, and I'm leaving Wan-Bissaka, Son, and Rashford as my 3 outfield subs for 31. Wan-Bissaka could have 2 doubles. I bought him at 4. I'm not going to find a better 4.
Mm-hmm.
So he's coming with. I've got the value in him. It's fine. Son, I would hold because obviously if Brighton go out the cup, suddenly Spurs have got a great fixture at home to Brighton in game week 33. And Rashford or Pogba, a little bit like what other people have mentioned, say with Jimenez and Doherty particularly, is you've built up so much value in these players. If you're going to then want them in your free hit teams and wildcard teams, then you're losing serious value on what you might have made. So I think if you've got, for example, Doherty, Jimenez, Rashford, Pogba, to sell them all, if you've got them at the low end of their values, to sell them all and get them all back, it's going to hit you a million.
But you are going to take some beatings on some of them, like Rashford or Pogba.
You have to somewhere, of course. Yeah, and that's why that decision on the 2 United players would be, in terms of my planning, would be the last decision that I make.
See, I'm very, I'm in a similar position, but there are players in my squad that I would normally never have transferred out. Luke Shaw, Leroy Sané, probably Doherty, but all 3 of them are not playing, right? So for me to get to where I want to in game week 31, I've actually got to take players out of my squad that in normal circumstance I probably wouldn't. Leroy Sané, Luke Shaw and Matt Doherty, I've got bits of value like 0.2, 0.3, not 500,000 or 0.6, which I do in Rashford and Pogba. So it is very tricky to decide which ones you're going to sub out.
For the benefit of the podcast listeners, I've just stuck my hand up. You still want to keep Sané?
That's a very good question. I had a question come through on WhatsApp earlier. And shout out to Alex Sava because he's a listener, but he's not on Twitter. A good friend of mine, and he's like, I don't know how to get a question on because I'm not on Twitter. So he sent me a message, and his was, where should I go from Sané? Because I'm not sticking with that guy.
James@planetfpl.com.
What's that? Your email address? Yeah. How did you get an email address? I ain't got one. No, I'm joking. Yeah,
but the thing is, if you email James at Planet FPL, the email will definitely get checked.
Let's talk about it. Sané, you think it's time to move on from Leroy Sané?
The big problem with my strategy, and we haven't mentioned it, is obviously it's no City. One of the things I said to you off air is that the strategy almost defines a little bit like the title race.
Correct.
It's almost Liverpool v City.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, you've got a direction where you're heading with Liverpool for 31, or I think you've got a direction where you're heading for the double 32 with your Sterling's, Aguero's, etc.
Yeah.
So you're in one camp or the other, really, aren't you? And I think for me to be already sitting on the 3 Liverpool as well, defines it for me, doesn't it? I'm not going to break it when I'm not sure that what I'm doing isn't right anyway. I think it is.
Nah. Do you remember the last podcast where I called out Gareth Williams for having the armband on Aguero through the double game week into the next game week where he managed to bang more goals in? And I was like, I'm sure that guy left the armband on, forgot to set his team, and then just carried on through. I had a voicemail reply from him, which I might try and figure out. We'll chuck into a mini clip or something that we stick out. He phoned me up. You know, the one thing I didn't remember about Gareth is he supports Liverpool. And he phoned me and he goes, forget about it, mate. He goes, I've purposely put my FPL team full of City players and captained a City player because that way I can't lose. If City do well, my FPL team do well. If City do badly, I couldn't care less because Liverpool are going to win the league. So he's trying to sabotage City players by putting them in his FPL team, and that's why he captained Sergio Aguero.
Gareth, you can lose. Don't let it slip.
We don't let this slip.
Exactly.
We will never have a career as Scouse impersonators.
No, probably not. You won't make a fucking appearance on Neighbours either.
Nah. G'day, mate. So we don't have a man-child today because he is a little busy with a lady's birthday.
Shout out to Matthew. He's helping us today.
Matt-child. You need to use your fingers to
is he Matt-child?
Yeah, man-child, Matt-child.
Matt-child.
How long have we been recording? You need to use your fingers because you can't speak. 54 minutes. There we go. So we've got half an hour to roll out some
We've been talking about chips for nearly an hour.
Chip.
I ain't even fucking eaten.
Not just chips. We talked about the disaster at the London Stadium today. Heartbroken.
While you're looking at Twitter questions, can we give our other podcast a shout out?
Which other podcast?
The other podcast.
The what we recorded?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's going to be live. If we shout out...
It'll go live this week.
You'd hope so. So Don,
they won't
Don
edit as quick as
Amigos, us. We just did a getting to know you with the Three Amigos, which was really good fun with Don and Mars. Shame Kylie couldn't be on with us, but I'm sure we'll get a chance to jump on the podcast soon. And it's going to be out this week because we've just said it is, and said Don's got to record it, and you know what it is.
Yeah,
we say it's got to come true. So do tune into that because it's quite different from what we do with this show.
Yeah, you'll find out some bits about us you don't want to.
Yeah, probably. So do have a listen to that when they get it live. We'll share and retweet it. And massive thanks to those guys for getting us on because most people don't get us on.
Oh no, you've just opened the can.
I think
now.
It's your hair or my face, one or the other.
Both.
Or the fact that you support Spurs and I support West Ham.
That as well.
Yeah, something along those lines. Or that I'm 617,000th in the world.
As I might have reminded you a few times today.
Indeed. Let's do some Twitter questions.
Come on, I'm waiting to get in the top 100k, mate. Come on.
Up. Let's jump into one of the more random ones.
Oh, a random.
Yeah, because it's the first one on the top of the page. And again, thank you to everyone for the Twitter questions. I've got like 20 pages worth, so we're not going to get through them all.
I'll do my usual responding shit.
Yeah. If animals could talk, this is coming in from FPL_Planet Guy. If animals could talk, which species would be the rudest?
Rhinos.
Why would they be rude? They're just big, strong, and slow, aren't they?
Oh, cats.
I don't.
Fucking cats.
I'm not a big fan of cats.
Sorry, I know we've got a lot of cat-loving listeners.
I don't mind a dog so much. I'm not really into cats that much. I don't find that there's much interaction with
dog
cats.
would tell you he loved you, mate.
Yeah, dogs do, as a rule. Which species would be the rudest?
A cat you'd make dinner for, and a cat would go to you, fucking time call this.
Yeah, true. I think they'd be pretty rude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you that. I reckon there'd be slightly more interesting rude animals, but I'll give you that. Oh, these are upside down. Right, next question. Talking about triple United and triple Wolves, and this is coming in from Nicky Stone 07 on Twitter. Nicky, currently have triple United. Lindelof can go, but lots of value in Rashford and Pogba. Hold them or look to ditch. Followed very quickly by, actually, same goes for Jimenez and Doherty.
Oh, right. What a cover, basically.
You've now got 5 players in there. Lindelof's not got a lot of value, but they're blanking in 31. And at that point, if you've got a lot of value, this is where potentially free hitting in 31 to cover off the blanks and keeping these guys for the doubles might be a better strategy.
I think once I get to 31 and I look at the value, let's just use my example, Pogba, Rashford, and let's say I got both of them in at the bottom end, basically.
Yeah.
I've made nearly $1 million on both. So once I get to 31 and I know the full picture and I'm right there and I can see what I got, at that point, I think that's when I would begin to think, what is my game week 32 free hit team going to look like? And therefore, what value do I need out of it? Because there's a good chance I'm going to want Pogba and Rashford in it. Quite possibly.
Yeah. I mean, they're both on form, both banging in goals. Pogba's scoring in the cup games as well.
And we know they're going to have a double 35 as well now. So there's a good chance I'm going to want them both for that as well.
Yeah.
So although for them, and it applies for Wolves as well, obviously won't play, we know factually, in either of the blanks, and they're the only two teams we can definitely say that about. there might be some value in holding them if you can work around it. But I think for me, it would be, I'd be sick if I kept Pogba and Rashford and sold Son, and then Brighton lost to Millwall.
Yeah.
And I've got to make that decision before the cup game. So there might be a way you might not. I guess in theory, because the game week deadline in 31 will be 2 o'clock. Because there are 3 games at 3 o'clock and there are 2 games on the Sunday. So were there to be FA Cup Friday night or FA Cup lunchtime, we might even have some more information.
That would be incredible.
That would be amazing. But you've got to make last minute decisions.
I just heard the entire Twitterverse of FPL explode.
Just dropped.
Why did you do it? Why did you do it? So there's a chance
that would be great, wouldn't it?
Incredible.
Yeah. If you had the Friday night game and
but there's only 6 or 7 games.
The Saturday lunchtime game wouldn't have finished by the time the deadline would hit.
There's 4 games. There's going to be 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, surely.
Well, the
way they're spreading them out now, 1 a day, month.
The Liverpool and Everton games are Everton, Chelsea, Fulham, Liverpool are live on Sky on the Sunday.
Yeah.
So BBC and BT probably won't want to clash with that. So there's every chance it will be Friday night, Saturday lunchtime, Sunday lunchtime, Monday night.
Right.
I don't think there's a Saturday night game. There might be.
Sometimes there is, but let's wait and see.
I don't think there is. I think the Premier League games in 31, I think, are all 3 o'clock.
Right.
Millwall Brighton Friday night. That's what I need. That's now what I need.
You could stick it out on Twitter. You've got enough Twitter followers now that people take you seriously. So tweet actual official Premier League scheduling guys, and they'll sort it out for you, mate.
I think I just thought of something that Ben Crellin hasn't. Winning.
Oh yeah, we're going to build our own spreadsheet just for that one bit of information.
I really can't bother. Ben does some amazing work.
He does indeed. He does indeed. I'm just too lazy an FPL player to use any of it. Exactly. Let's go on to Is My Captain Playing? Is My Cap Playing on Twitter? I think he's had to change the way his name looks because of the Is My Cat Playing.
That's how it's always been.
I thought Is My Cat was getting in the way. Anyway, what the fuck do we do with Chelsea? Great fixtures up to 31 and 33, but no form. Best to avoid or take a punt on Hazard or Higuain to find form. And closely followed by @ClaretFPL, Jimmy Mac and Cheese, who's definitely going to be going down the cheesy chip strategy without doubt. Who says Higuain as a second striker and Barnes as a third or first or whatever.
Well, he would say that because he's a Burnley fan. Yeah, and he does love Ashley Barnes.
The Austrian.
There's a lot that could happen with Chelsea in the next 10 days or so that we don't know. If Chelsea lose to City in the League Cup final on Sunday and lose to Spurs in the league next Wednesday, I think he'll be sacked. And I think there's one or two things that happen there. One, they'll go and find someone quick like they did with Hiddink, or probably more likely just let Zola do it to the end of the season. Now, Zola might completely tear it up and go, right, we'll go 4-2-3-1. I'll play Hazard, Pedro and William behind Higuain. I'll play Kante with Jorginho, and suddenly it looks like a different team. Mm-hmm. So Chelsea, I wouldn't be looking at to invest in until at least after that Spurs game week 29. Mm-hmm. You could tell the atmosphere in the grounds at Stamford Bridge last night was changing. You can see on the faces of the fans, and they're not the brightest lot generally, Chelsea fans.
Oof, low blow.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm here all week.
You know the man behind the camera's a Chelsea fan. I was going to make him watch the highlights of
that's
the game earlier in preparation for the show.
That's why I said it.
It's harsh, man. They've been taking some big
No, but in all seriousness, you can tell they're all thinking, like, he brought Zappacosta and as Pilaqueta with 10 minutes ago, and they're all thinking, like, seriously, mate, you might as well fucking throw Giroud on. Yeah. It's a cup game. Like, get beat 3-4-0, have a go. It just won't change, will they? Everyone sussed them out. Even Guardiola, like what he did with Fernandinho against the Arsenal game. Emery's got it. Solskjaer's doing it. Pochettino, Klopp has played sort of 4-2-3-1 occasionally this year with Shaqiri. They can all evolve. Chelsea don't change at all. No. Everyone knows how they're going to play. If they're good enough, they can still do what they did to Huddersfield, for example. But let them have the ball, and we're going to counter you.
Yeah, I don't see anyone other than Higuain's the one.
Do you think he'll get sacked? Matthews nodded.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you because it's the words.
Do you want him to get sacked?
It's the words that
He's
come
nodded
out of
again.
his mouth. It's the words that come out of Sarri's mouth that are as concerning as the way they're on the pitch.
Yeah, like I can't motivate them.
And we're a confused team and all this kind of stuff.
But have an open mind about it because it could swing. And like I said, there's every chance with Chelsea. You've got available 31, available 33 and double 32. And for anybody who is fucked on the bench boost and wildcard, if that proves to be the case and their doubles Chelsea is Cardiff away and Brighton at home, you've got to steam into them.
Yeah.
Have to.
Let's talk about Aubameyang. We mentioned him briefly. Aubameyang. And we've had a couple of questions come in about Aubameyang. He's got 4 fixtures in 9 days. Some of them look good on paper. Flat track bully, and there are quite a few home fixtures in there.
Harsh. I think it's harsh.
Statistically, he scored more goals at home than at home.
Than most players. Not everyone's Harry Kane, mate. You know Kane's away record is as good as his home.
Is
mate.
it? Indeed. Yeah. Let's have a look. What do you think on him? Because there are, and this let's frame this in the context of you've got Aguero, you've got other options: Aguero, Firmino, and Higuain, who got doubles or not, or riding through the blanks. Everyone's got their own kind of benefits to go towards. And Aubameyang now, like you mentioned, because of Lacazette's suspension in the Europa League, is going to be playing that for sure. And they're coming thick and fast, these fixtures. Arsenal are not in a position where they can afford to be losing games, though.
I think if you're planning to 32, I think you have to go Aubameyang. Because
if you're planning to 32, just clarify for listeners.
So if
you're free hitting in 31 and you're going to keep
correct.
32. Yeah.
So I think you have to go Aubameyang because it's so obvious from Arsenal. Do you go Lacazette instead? You can, but I think I'd have more trust in Aubameyang, and if it works out, he's a captaincy option. You'd feel more comfortable investing in Arsenal if they went out of Europe, I think. Actually, on the fixtures that's left, Arsenal should finish 4th.
Are you saying that as a little poke in their side? Did you genuinely believe it of Arsenal?
No. But if Spurs perform in terms of results as they had been, we'll finish 3rd, right?
Yeah.
We've got a distance.
You've been playing very well.
If we maintain that, we'll finish 3rd. And we've got a tough run, by the way. But if looking at Arsenal, Chelsea and United's fixtures between now and 38, I think Arsenal have got the best run. But you'd be hard-pressed to back against United at the moment.
Yeah.
I feel bad he's sitting there.
United are playing so well at the moment. Let's talk about a couple of other clubs that maybe are not getting mentioned. Firstly, Newcastle. This is coming in from FPL Dummy, who wants to know, what are your thoughts on Newcastle? They have decent fixtures and they need to play, like they've got a survival to play for. So Newcastle potential consideration. Is our friend Jamal Lascelles coming back?
2 good home fixtures coming up. And there's a 3rd in there as well before 31, I think, which is decent as well. My concern with them is it's an unknown. Do you want to go on a club like Newcastle? If you're taking my strategy, for example, 31, they go to Bournemouth. It's all right, but it's not the best fixture. 33, they're scheduled to be at home to Palace. We don't know if it's going to depend on Palace's cup results. In terms of your planning, that's a weak one. Do you want to go without? Because you're probably going to feel compelled to replace that player for 33 if Newcastle aren't available. So they're not for me. And part of my planning is, like I'd advise for others, if you're going to go and free hit 31, go all in on it. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going, I'm back in Bournemouth on the day. So I'm going to stay away from Newcastle. I think there will be clean sheets there in the near run. I think Almiron is getting mentions. I've not seen enough personally. If it's your thing and you've seen a lot of MLS, as I said last week, go for it. I think Rondon is decent. I better say that because Wifey got him in. But of the defensive, yes, I would go to Lascelles. It would be wrong on this podcast about Chips not to say, yes, Jamal Lascelles would be the Newcastle one. He's a reliable one. If he's fit, he'll play.
Yep. And coming in from FPL Bus at Bus Parkour, and I didn't put that bus question in there because of the bust.
Hang on quickly, I've just not the fucking mic.
Bust.
Right, we've clarified from the bus or bust argument last week.
Correct.
This has come from Brandon and Josh.
Yeah.
The cheaters, and it's come from the idea of you get hit by a bus,
Your team goes on.
You're in hospital. You're not dead, by the way, just to clarify. Things goes on. You can't make any changes to your game week team.
Okay.
So as they coined it first, I will concede it is bus. But my idea of bust makes a lot more fucking sense.
It makes you a lot happier. FPL bus. Who keeps more clean sheets over the next 5 game weeks? So 27, 28, 29, 30 and 31. And you've got a choice, Leicester, Newcastle or West Ham. It's like the worst possible choice you could ever
Newcastle
make.
Because that's the one I said I'm not going for.
You feel that they're going to keep clean sheets?
I trust Newcastle defensively more in some of them fixtures than I would the other two. Like Chilwell, Pereira. I know I'm going for one, and I think I'm going to go for Chilwell based on the fact that actually it might come down to me on my planning that I might need that 0.4, which is the main reason why I'll probably make that choice. And for me in the Spurs game, he really passed the eye test. I'd possibly Newcastle, to answer your question.
I feel like for West Ham, it's highly... I'm ruling Leicester out. I don't see them keeping a lot of clean sheets. For West Ham, it's highly dependent on when Balbuena's fit again. I'm not sure if he's training again yet. I haven't heard anything from Ben Dinnery, but if we can get him back in the next couple of weeks, he was out for 5 or 6, so he should be coming back soon. Then we have a chance because we have some favourable fixtures and quite a few home fixtures that I can see us doing well in. But if not, and without Balbuena, I don't trust us, and I don't trust Leicester. So.
How far away is he?
I don't know. As I saying, we need someone tweet Ben.
Still
Dinnery.
in the queue outside the club shop.
Well, there's probably still people waiting outside there. There is.
You got 2 boys, did you?
Yeah,
did you bring
it's
back?
funny. We got to the queue, back of the queue, and there was a steward there, and he was like, "I just need to let you know that the chances of you getting in are impossible, but you can wait if you want." I was like, "What do you mean?"
Good lad.
He goes, "Well, we've got a cap of 300 people. We've already allowed the queue to be 400 people. The 400th person's like over there," and he starts pointing in the distance. And then all of these lot, you got no chance, mate. But you can queue if you want. I was like, all right, thanks for letting me know.
Nice.
He didn't even give me a glimmer of hope. He was literally like, queue, but you ain't going nowhere. Credit to that steward for staying upbeat.
Being honest.
Yeah, exactly. Should we answer one more Twitter question?
Go on.
And then...
how long, Matthew?
It's like my man's doing sign language.
Yeah, that's
How many hours?
That's not
1
good
hour?
for the listeners. 1 hour.
30 minutes. 30.
So it's 1 hour, 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Jesus.
1 hour.
He ain't. I'm telling you.
1.5 hours.
For the podcast listeners, this guy is not going to get the poor job on BBC Two in the middle of the night. It's not happening.
So we've been going for an hour and a half.
Oh, have we? Go on then. One more question.
One more Twitter question. This is an interesting one from Kunj Babler.
Nice.
Simple. Aguero to Kane? ?
No.
That guy is a spanner in the works for a lot of strategies.
I would be very surprised if Harry Kane starts at Burnley at the weekend and then it's Chelsea and Arsenal afterwards. So the advice would be no.
Harry Kane scores against the big top 6 sides anyway, so I don't think the fixtures of Chelsea and Arsenal are particularly intimidating. Arsenal defensively, how many clean sheets have they kept this season? They're the bottom 3 or 4 for clean sheets kept this season. We know that's not going to be your first game at the new stadium, so it'll still be at Wembley.
It might be the last one at Wembley, though.
Oh, fingers crossed for you. And Chelsea defensively, I mean, they're not the greatest.
Hang on. Mate, did you see what we did to Dortmund last week?
I didn't.
Carry on.
I don't think the fixtures are an argument against Harry Kane. I really feel like getting on Kane early, because I think his ownership's like 14% or something, and imagine the number of dead teams that have him, could be that differential that if you do it, go for it.
Yes, it's possible for those who are planning 232, I think, to make that move. I think if we take on face value, Spurs have got 4 fixtures before 31. Burnley away, I don't think he'll start. Chelsea away, Arsenal at home, Southampton away. It's not great, mate.
No.
It's not great. Would you captain him at Southampton? Maybe. That's that game week 30 where I've said everyone's got good fixtures. I don't think you do.
No, I think Liverpool at home is probably top of the tree for that. No, there you go. So thanks for listening to this show. It's been heavy going, I think, because everyone's in a spiral, death spiral of mind blowing.
Relax, chill out.
Yeah, for me, originally I'd planned this week to make 2 transfers. I think now I'm only going to make 1 and keep rolling.
If you've got any doubts about what you're doing, rolling is a great move this week.
And I'll navigate my way through. I think I'm going to be less scared about having 9 and 10 players playing in a game week and just not overcomplicate it.
Didn't really say what's acceptable for 31 if you're going down that route.
People did ask. I think it's a bit of a funny one.
I think 8, 9's fine.
8 or 9 is plenty though.
It's fine.
5 and 6, you are kind of bare bones and hoping for your captain to get you out.
If you can take the hits, like I said, so if you're going like a Wilson to Jimenez and you're getting at least the appearance points back, then take the hit, do it. There's nothing to lose.
No, exactly. And remember, you can spread that over 2 game weeks, 31
but make sure if you're doing that, you've got the 33 fixture and your player definitely got. I think to come off Wolves and Man United for that move is perfect.
There you go. So thanks for listening. Do share the podcast with all your friends who are playing FPL, friends, family, anyone else who's interested in a bit of football and a bit of rants and bants, because I think that's what we do. And ciao for now.
Good luck, everyone. Cue music, Matt Child.
The Fantasy Football Show.